All right, we had a little problem with the stream there, so my apologies. Not sure if we're coming back on here. I think we're having some internet problems at home. Maybe they're on to me because I've been streaming live from our basement for the last 4 days, and I'm sure eating up a lot of the neighborhood bandwidth. So, at any rate, again, I'm Lance Lewis with Champion Video. I got a special guest in the studio with us tonight, and it might be our last show that we're doing this way because of the new orders that have come down in Wisconsin that preclude people traveling to our location. Even though we are doing social distancing and observing a lot of protocols, maybe that's not something we're doing moving forward. But at any rate, Champion Video focuses on live event video, and our world has kind of come to a screeching halt. So a number of days ago, I told my wife, "Hey, I think I'm going to do a live show every night," and then we started one that night. So that's kind of exciting. What you can do for me, if possible, is give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. That's very helpful to us, and it doesn't take anything. It's like a smile. You got them free to hand out. So tonight we have Kimberly Lewis, who also I get the pleasure of being her husband, and she's also an editor and camera operator and basically any other role that needs to happen within Champion Video. So she's with me here tonight. I'm going to be bringing her in. Give me just a second. And Kimberly, you are live. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you? Haven't seen you in a few minutes.
I haven't seen you since the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you do for work? What does your job entail?
Well, mostly it's panic refreshing the news this week, but lately I've been doing a lot of editing, trying to finish up the shows that we were able to film before all the different shutdowns started happening. So
Yeah.
I've been working on wrapping up some figure skating shows.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of editing. We used to go out every weekend, several times a weekend, and do on-location filming, but that hasn't happened now since last weekend, and that's probably the biggest change for me personally, is just
Right.
not getting out of the house and going for a drive every weekend.
Right. Yeah. So, our job is kind of, let's go out and do something. And we're there. We might be on site 10 hours, 12 hours or whatever. And then for the rest of the week, we get to kind of wake up when we wake up and go to bed when we want to go to bed, as long as the work's getting done. But that has all changed. And that probably really hasn't sunk in a whole lot yet. Other than that, we tended to stay home quite a bit anyway. So when we first met, you had told me something, and I didn't believe you. You said, hey, I can really cook. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, everybody can cook. I figured a casserole here, a casserole there, but you're like, no, I really can cook.
Some hamburger helper.
Yeah, and so then you said, no, seriously, I can cook anything. You tell me what you want, and I will cook it. And so I started off with the Asian cuisines of like General Tso's, Kung Pao, and for a couple of years I tried to stump you, and I never could stump you. So how did you learn to cook so good?
From my mom. She always encouraged me to, cook, and I would help her in the kitchen even when I was little. I just always liked making food and combining different recipes and seeing how the flavors and textures come together. And if I was sick and stayed home from school, I'd watch, cooking on NPR, or not NPR, but public broadcasting.
Okay. Did
So-
you stay home more often just so that you could watch?
Not on purpose, but, I had strep throat a lot as a kid, so there was
Okay.
quite a few sick days to get through with cooking shows. So.
Yeah. You not only are you able to cook just about anything, you're able to follow directions. Like when you read a recipe, you already have a pretty immediate idea of, what those spices mean and how they're going to come together. I mean, you almost can taste it just by reading the recipe. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's crazy. Do you think that's going to come in handy for me in the next couple weeks? That you can
Well,
cook
we're
really
down
good?
to our last bag of frozen veggies and cup of rice. I think I can make it taste as good as possible.
Yeah, it certainly worked out good for me so far. Yeah, and also you which is funny because when I first met you, I would not have said that you were super domesticated, right?
I still would not say that.
Yeah, you're more like a feral cat. No. You like to do your own thing, your own way, your own time, and that's one of your strengths. But it's not just cooking that you're really good at. You're good at doing other stuff too, like sewing you've got some good sewing skills, and gardening has become a latest passion, right?
Yeah, I like doing things with my hands. I like seeing a physical result for my work. So it's really nice to, know that if I can, dig around the dirt for a while, I can make something grow. And that's just really rewarding.
Yeah. For sure. So I'm going to ask you the next question and kind of get into it a little bit, but I'm also, if I can, I'm going to kind of try to jump over to Facebook here, just because when that stream dumped a little bit earlier, I just want to make sure people are getting to the right spot. So, so I'm going to just kind of dork around here a little bit doing that. But I want you to get into hydroponics a little bit and buy me a little bit of time to look through this here.
Yeah, sure. So for the past couple months, I've been doing some hydroponic lettuce in the basement here. And it really started because mid-January there was yet another E. coli outbreak in lettuce. And I love eating fresh greens, especially in the winter. So I saw this outbreak and we had to get rid of all of our lettuce. And I was just so fed up at having to throw away another batch of romaine.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to start growing it myself. I know, it's safe. It's not contaminated. The worst that happens is I spend some money on seeds and they don't grow.
Right.
But fortunately, I've had really good results, and I've been eating fresh lettuce pretty much every day for the past couple weeks, and that's been really nice.
Yeah. And the other day you did like some peas. That
Yeah,
was
I've
cool.
also been growing microgreens, which are kind of like sprouts, but you don't grow them in water. You grow them in a tray on top of some sort of growing medium.
Yeah.
I use coco coir, and you just, let them germinate and grow. And then you can harvest them when they start to get some leaves. So it's a little bit more robust than a sprout. And it's kind of like a little mini salad, and you can put them on stuff, and they're really good.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get started in hydroponics, well, first of all, what is hydroponics? I mean, back me up here a little bit.
Yeah, well, so hydroponics is just an umbrella term for growing things in water and nutrients. And there's as many different ways of doing hydroponics as there are people who do it. It's a really diverse growing platform, and it's so flexible that you can adapt it to what you have and what you have available. There's a lot of programs helping people in third world countries in undeveloped areas grow hydroponically because it's so flexible, and you can do it with a lot of found materials or recycled materials, which I try to focus on too.
Yeah. And how did you personally learn about it?
Well, I read a lot and I read fast, so I just
you do.
started reading everything I could get my hands on about the different methods and decided to go with one method called the Kratky method, which is a very simple hydroponic setup. It doesn't require any pumps or misters or timers or like complex machinery. Basically all you need is something that holds water and a nutrient solution. So that's what I've been doing.
And the seeds, of course.
Well, yeah.
And some dirt.
Or not.
Okay.
You don't even need dirt.
Yep. Okay. So again, just making sure we're not getting too many technical things going on here. I'm going to put up a picture. It's the first one, and it shows kind of our, one of the shelves of mini shelves that you've got going on. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so on the main shelf, on the left-hand side, I've got a big tub of lettuce. And that's my main hydroponic lettuce farm there. So I've got a lot of, I think I put 8 in there. That might be a little too crowded. Next time I'll probably do 2 taller plants in the middle, like some cilantro. But the lettuce is great. It grows really easily. And what's important is it likes cool temperatures, so it works great in the basement. And it's really been producing nicely, and it's been fantastic to eat.
Okay, and I'm still kind of working through a couple technical issues, but I think I've just about got it fixed. Next picture, please.
Can you remind me what that one is?
Side view of the lettuce.
Yeah, so that gives you an idea of what's going on inside the tub. So you can see I've got that black tub, and it's important that it's dark so that it blocks out the light. Otherwise, algae will grow in that water. That's a nutrient bath. So I've got the black plastic thing is called a net cup, and then you put the clay pebbles in the cup to help stabilize the plant. Since there's no soil, the plant doesn't have anything to anchor its roots into, so the pebbles act as the medium to anchor the plant, and then the roots go down into the nutrient solution and drink it. And what's cool is you see like the little white fuzzy roots, those are called air roots. And the plant forms those to get enough oxygen, because half of its roots are in water and half of it are in the air. So that gets it the right balance of nutrients and oxygen for what it needs.
All right, I'm being told that the sound is much better now, so sorry about that for anybody who's watching. Just a little technical difficulties on our part. So next picture I'm going to throw looks like a couple 2-pint bottles cut off at the top and food growing out of the top of them.
Oh yeah, so that's on the main picture. If you saw the bottles wrapped in foil, that's what they look like on the inside. And I have a couple different methods I've been trying just to see what the plant's like and how it goes. But basically, you just kind of cut off the top of a 2-liter bottle, flip it inside out, and then you fill that with either cocoa coir or the pebbles, and kind of tape it in place. And you can put your plant in there, and then nutrients in the reservoir below, and then your roots will grow down into there, and then the plants grow up. And it's just a really easy recycled container for Kratky.
Yeah, and so the next one looks like it's a completely recycled everything.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I could do something that was all recycled materials, because that's a big goal of mine, is to reduce use of plastics. And it's one thing to recycle them and like put them in the container and they go away, but they don't really go away, right? So I like to reuse as much as I can. So the white part is actually a K-cup from like one of the little coffee filter pods, and I had used that and cleaned it out, and then I cut some slits in it so the roots could grow through, and that's in a Jiffy Puff marshmallow fluff container, and I grew a nice big head of lettuce in there. That turned out beautifully, so that was really great.
Cool. Yeah, so still a little bit of technical difficulties. That was me. So next picture looks like some lettuce.
Is that the top-down view?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, so that's the big head of lettuce that I grew in my little Jiffy Puff marshmallow container. And if you're going to try the hydroponic lettuce, I recommend leaf lettuce varieties and not like a head lettuce. So if you think of something like iceberg lettuce that grows like in a tight ball, that's not going to do as good in hydroponics as like kind of the fluffy leaf lettuce. And as the leaves start to get bigger, you can actually harvest the outside leaves first, which is what I've been doing, and kind of have a leaf here and there, and then when they get big enough, then you just harvest the whole thing.
And one of our viewers wants to know, how long did it take to grow?
I believe I'm at 3 weeks right now from seed on the lettuce.
Nice. Next picture. Looks like some sprouting sunflowers.
Yeah, so I've been doing microgreens too. This is my 3rd tray of sunflower seeds. The sunflowers are a little hit and miss. They tend to get moldy easily. And you use hydrogen peroxide to keep the mold at bay, which has been in short supply lately. So might be giving up on sunflowers if this tray gets molded, at least until hydrogen peroxide is in ready supply and not needed for decontamination of more important things.
All right, last picture is peas.
Yep, speckled peas. Those are my favorites. They grow so easily. They grow really fast. Those I only started 4 days ago, and they're already a couple inches tall, and they'll probably be ready for harvest in 3 or 4 more days. And they just taste great, and they're super fresh.
Yeah, and I just want to say that all those pictures you took earlier today.
I did. Yeah,
Yep.
Photography has always been a hobby and passion of mine. So it's great that I get to, develop my skills and use it for a business now too, and hopefully get to do some more photography projects in our downtime here coming up.
Yeah, I even asked you when you gave me these photos, I'm like, hey, did you just pull these like stock photos? Another question. What's the benefit of having them sprout and eating them versus just eating the seeds?
It depends on what nutrients you're going for, right? We can eat and digest the fresh greens a lot easier than kind of the peas, like the little pellets, right? Like eating sunflower seeds is one thing, but like eating fresh greens has more nutrients to it. And in the winter too, I've noticed psychologically just having something fresh and green that I can take care of, that really kind of helps my mood in the winter.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get started in hydroponics, how would you recommend they do that?
Well, I'm happy to answer
Get
any
some water.
questions. Yeah. You're going to need some good water, and then a nutrient solution. That's really as simple as it gets. I like Maxi Grow. I can post a link to that in the comments section or my Facebook page or however people would like to see that. Probably in the YouTube comments, right?
Or probably Facebook, I'm guessing. If
Yeah.
anybody that's watching can come see us over there. Because
Yeah.
a little confusing on which YouTube chat you follow and whatnot. So
Yeah, or in the show notes or something.
yeah, sure.
But we'll get that information up. But it's really as simple as a nutrient solution and water, and then just get creative with what sort of containers you have around. The 2-liter soda bottles work great, or else you can use like a 5-gallon bucket from the hardware store if you're going to grow tomatoes that'll get big.
Yeah. Is there a lot of information on, I'm guessing, on the internet?
Oh yeah, there's tons of information on YouTube, on Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit groups.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, Reddit has a fantastic hydroponic community. It's really helpful and informative.
Cool. And how well do these skills translate to non-hydroponic gardening?
It's a lot of similar skills. In some ways, hydroponics is easier, at least the method I'm doing, because doesn't have a lot of kind of finicky stuff to it yet. You can get to some pretty sophisticated systems, but I've kind of kept mine bare bones. I have quite the indoor plant collection as well, which has helped me refine my gardening skills. It's all about learning what each plant needs and kind of taking care of it. But they all have similar needs, right? They need light, they need something to put their roots in, and then they need nutrients.
Right. And I understand that you have a network of people that you could trade some of your fresh greens for things like eggs. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We have our post-apocalyptic survivor group ready to go to exchange eggs for plants and so forth.
Nice. So Liz wants to know, what would the cost be for a very basic setup?
So the big black tote I got at Menards for about $6. I mean, you can get it at any supply. Just make sure you get a really rugged one. And you don't need too deep for lettuce. That one's probably actually on the big side for lettuce. So let's say about $6 for a pretty good sized tote. If you want net cups, those are about 50 cents a piece. The bag of clay pellets is about $10.
How long will the clay pellets last?
I'm not sure how long before they break down. I haven't seen that cycle myself, but they should be reusable.
And how many have you deployed? Like, you got a 10-pound bag? Did you?
Yeah, I got a pretty big bag, and I've used less than half.
Okay. Yep. Sorry. Go on.
Probably only used about a third of them so far.
Yeah. So.
And then, of course, your seeds, which, $2 for a packet of seeds. And then the nutrient solution, I got a 2-pound bag, which will last me a long time. That was about $15.
Okay.
And you only need a teaspoon per gallon
Oh, wow.
of water. So it's a pretty efficient way of growing.
Anything else that you want to talk about in regards to hydroponics?
I mean, I could go on for a long time about it. Just real quick, I want to mention, you have a good light source and have it close to your plants, especially when they're seedlings. Keeping plants inside is not the same as having them outside under the sun. They need a full spectrum of light. I use fluorescent lights that are called T5 lights, and they have a full spectrum, and I like it because they're a little bit warm. So they add a little bit of heat for the seeds. I have mine in the basement, so a little bit of heat is nice. And another good option, though, is LED lights. You can get full spectrum LED shop lights. You don't have to get specialty plant lights unless you want to get into things that like with flower and fruit. Then you might need more specialty high-powered lights.
And on the low end and high end, what do lights run?
You can get a LED shop light for $15 or $20,
Yep.
or you can spend literally thousands of dollars on multi-spectrum LED lighting that has all sorts of color temperatures and timers and all sorts of
Okay,
crazy
so
stuff.
the real question is, what did we spend on it?
I bought my light for $25.
All right, because otherwise it's going on the chopping block. We need to eat. Yeah. Okay.
But I am eating it.
Right. And how do you like the taste of it? Like, I know you shared what was it, peas or something with
Yeah.
me?
Yep.
They were really good. What do you think of the taste? Do you taste much of a difference between this and something you'd buy in the grocery store?
I think it tastes nice and fresh. I haven't noticed anything that wow, that doesn't taste right or the texture's not right.
Right.
You can, if you eat your lettuce too soon after you add nutrients, like if you're growing it in a smaller container and you add nutrients and eat it the next day, that might be kind of bitter.
Okay.
So if you top off your nutrient container, make sure to give it a couple days before harvest. But otherwise, I haven't been able to notice any quality difference. And it's always fresh because I pull it right off the plant before I eat
Yeah,
it.
and you were telling me the other day that you can let the bit of lettuce just kind of hang there, after it's already matured, right? And it'll stay like that for a period of time, right?
Yeah, it should last at least a month, 2 months.
Wow.
No,
So it could just stay there. It doesn't rot, or at some point.
No, because it's still a live plant that's growing.
Right.
At some point, it will try to, put out seeds, and that's when you have to harvest it.
Okay.
But in a cool temperature, that should be quite a while.
Right. How much lettuce? So we've got, what would you say? That room is about maybe a 10 by 10 room, and you are in one, not even a quarter of the
Yeah,
room,
I'm on
right?
one 4-foot shelf.
Yeah, you're on one with several shelving layers, levels, right?
But I'm only using one for lettuce and one tote.
Oh, right. So how often do you have lettuce you can eat, as part of your daily thing?
Well, I found that I actually like grazing lettuce more than making a salad. When I go down to check my plants, I'll grab a couple leaves. But I estimate I'd have enough for a salad every other day with 6 plants in there.
Nice. So someone wants to know, does the setup attract insects? And if so, how can you deal with them? And I know I was not the one that typed this.
Lance.
I didn't type it. It was Liz who was asking, but I got to say, I'm right there with her.
Yeah. Actually, my houseplants have more of a fungus gnat issue than my hydroponics setup.
Yeah.
They're just really hard to get rid of because they're tiny and their life cycle is so rapid. They're hard to get rid of, but they're not harmful to humans. I have not noticed any fungus gnats or bugs in my hydroponics setup.
Yeah.
But I use a product called mosquito dunks, and they're like little round donut-shaped pellets that you can get at the hardware store or garden store by the mosquito control.
Yep.
And you just pop that in your water, and that just stops their eggs from growing.
And that's not dangerous to humans at all?
No, it's safe for humans and pets.
Because I feel like I have a couple wings sprouting out of my back right now.
Well, that's just from the radiation.
All right. Anything else that we want to finish up with hydroponics with?
No, just, pick up some seeds, give it a try. Leafy greens are super easy to grow. I'll let you know how my tomatoes do. I have 2 or 3 large tomato plants going.
How long is that going to take?
I think those are still about 30 days out until they start flowering.
How big are they going to get? Like they're going to outgrow that shelf, right?
Yes. I'll need to transfer those to 5-gallon buckets.
Okay.
And hopefully those will go out on the patio maybe in a month.
Well, hopefully everybody doesn't go out and buy 5-gallon buckets,
I think
in a mad dash
Oh,
to store their toilet paper.
Right.
All right, let's move on. So what do you think of the new directives that just came out today from Governor Evers? So just a quick little recap. What did he announce, and what do you think about it?
Well, it's a more thorough, he's calling it safer at home, which is a good message. So for messaging, you always want to focus on what you want your people to do, right?
Yep.
Instead of, don't drive drunk, say drive sober, right?
Right.
So safer at home, that's a great messaging. I'm glad that Wisconsin is getting this. Our business is going to be severely impacted by it, but we're not going to have a business if all our clients are dead.
Or if this if the virus continues to be an issue and social distancing continues to be an issue for months and months and months.
Yep.
Like most businesses, we can weather a month here, a month there, but sustained no work over a long period of time isn't just about the work we lose now, it's about the clients we lose in the future.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm in this exact same position. I hope that everybody takes it seriously. But tell us a little bit more. Like, I know you read the whole thing over. I only read the part that affected me. And you had read the whole thing. Anything that stood out to you there?
My only concern is that it's not thorough enough. I think a lot of businesses would still be exempt or can find room to kind of wiggle in and, stay open that maybe don't need to be open. So hopefully companies will take this seriously and really consider what's in the best interest of them and the community long run.
Yeah.
Whether, they should stay open and make a couple dollars more a day. I mean, I know it's not a couple dollars more a day, right? But whether they should make a short-term profit or have a long-term viable business and community.
Right. Yeah, so and we are getting some mixed messaging across the board, federally versus state, and everybody was kind of lining up in the same direction that we were, less and less interaction with people, more businesses being closed, so on and so forth, and it looks like federally that might be. It's being toyed with reversing a little bit, but whatever. We just kind of hope that it gets taken care of and that everybody does their part. In the actual directive that he released, he basically said all non-essential businesses have to close unless they can. There's plenty of exceptions, unless they can work primarily from home. Religious organizations can stay open but have to continue to follow their protocols, which is fortunate for us because one of the few jobs that we are still able to go to, and this directive appears to allow me to still go there, is we're doing some filming for a church that's recording all of their masses, and then we put them up online, and then people can premiere the mass at the normal time that it normally would be. And
I think that's really important for a sense of normalcy in these times, just to kind of have something that's your routine, something that's familiar, a connection to a community that you're a part of. I think it's really critical for people.
And you can still go out to parks, but you do have to observe distancing and stuff like that. So the stuff everybody was starting to do. So hopefully this just helps everybody take a little bit more seriously. Also, we're hoping something happens in Congress soon. We expect in the next day or so that something should be happening that will give some relief. That's what we're kind of hoping for. Well, I know you love automation. Most of our house is automated. We walk upstairs. We say the person whose name shall not be named so that I don't accidentally invoke her.
She can hear you right here.
I know. And when I got back from working at the church today, you said, "Hey, guess what I taught Alexa how to do?" And can you give us a demonstration?
Yeah. Alexa, start the countdown.
Launch initiated. T-minus 20. Water sound suppression system armed.
So this is how we
Range
wash our
cleared for
hands.
launch. Go for main engine start. T-minus 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 3 engines up and burning. 4. 3. 2. 1. We have liftoff. Godspeed.
And then you've got it cut off there, right?
Yep.
So music. Okay, and then normally it goes into some music, but we didn't want to play that because of copyright issue. So that's a 20-second countdown, right? It's exactly 20 seconds?
It's actually 30.
30
Time
seconds.
to turn the water on and let it get warm for a moment.
Gotcha. Yeah. So 30-second countdown, and that's you need to wash your hands that entire time. Now, you programmed Alexa to do that. That wasn't a program that she came with.
Yeah, it's really easy to set your routines in there, and I have a lot of fun thinking of different quirky stuff to do with it. So, I've even programmed a routine that if Klingons are attacking, I can trigger our defensive maneuvers, and some lighting things will go on in the home and all that.
It is pretty random though. Once in a while, she'll just start talking, and or the worst is because we have so many Alexa devices in the house that we say, we might say it. Try to command her in one room, and it's picking up in a different room. And,
yeah, there's definitely some quirky things here and there, but all in all, it's convenient, and I've enjoyed having it.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about masks a little bit. You know that this is a pet peeve of mine. From the very beginning, I'm so confused by this. And of course, everybody, and, we want to be socially responsible. So we didn't hoard masks. We did buy 2 right off the bat, way early on, before people were freaking out about anything, pretty much. We got 2 of them. Of course, 2 is not going to do us any good, right? We didn't know that at that time. But
well, I was figuring if there's an emergency with, friends or family, like if I had to go pick up my parents and take them to the hospital, then I can, be protected while doing that.
Right, and these are the N95 masks, not the surgical mask. But a lot, that was a couple weeks ago. A lot has changed in a couple weeks, and what we're hearing is, hospitals are asking people, or I don't know if it's hospitals so much as people working at hospitals that are...
There have been a couple hospitals that have put out official requests.
Right, and asking people to sew masks and asking people to donate masks that they've hoarded and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not against that. And by the way, my heart goes out to anybody that's working in the medical industry, that is on the front lines of this thing, and that they're putting themselves at risk. They're putting their families at risk every day when they go to do this. So I get that. My heart does go out. But here's my pet peeve. I think, and you've described it as the messaging was wrong. So in the beginning, they're like, well, masks aren't going to help you. That's what I was being told, and that's why we're not supposed to go out and buy masks, because it's not going to help us. But the reality is if you're wearing a mask, you're less likely to have something come out of your nose, something out of your mouth, and that happens all the time. This is how the virus is spread, right? When I'm talking, I'm aspirating little droplets that I can't even see are coming out of my mouth.
I'm glad you're in the other room.
I know. I mean, normally my desk is just wet when I'm done now. But no, this is why a mask is important for protecting the people around you. So and if we look at China, who went through I think SARS was the one that hit them really hard, a decade or so ago, and if you look at that country, everybody wears masks there. Why? Because they know that can help stop the spread. Now, so I feel like the messaging was wrong. I feel like they should have said something different. I'm going to stop there and say, what's your opinion about it?
Yeah, so I think off the bat, they should have said, hey, we need this protective gear for medical professionals. They're at the highest risk. That's going to, do the best to stop the spread. So, save these for the professionals, and, people at home will get you what we can, or, here's some alternatives.
Yeah. I think the other thing that kind of bothers me about, the request, donate your masks. And I'm thinking, and again, my heart goes out to all the medical professionals. I know what I'm about to say is not popular, but it really kind of irks me that, hey, donate masks when the hospitals right now are complicit in bankrupting people over healthcare. Now, I know the hospital, the doctor, the nurse, it's not them that's doing it, right? Nobody has that intention. They're there to help, and they do a great job with that. But a hospital is a for-profit business in most cases, right? And what's happening, and Governor Cuomo, who was talking the other day, I highlighted this the best way. He says, I'm calling my distributors, and, a mask that used to cost me 85 cents is costing me $7. Now that's costing him $7 because in what he said, and he said the same thing about ventilators, what he said was because he's competing against other hospitals, and he's competing against other countries in some case. And I just feel like I feel like we need a national resolution to this, not a personal resolution. Like, hey,
And not a free market resolution,
right?
Because this is not a product that we want people to make a profit on. This is a product we want to get to the right hands to save lives.
Yeah, well, in a free market, which works great in many cases, getting you the best product at the best price, in many industries it works. But in this case, what happens is people, like a hospital, can stock up. The hospital Governor Cuomo actually said during his press briefing that he would call a supplier, they would say, here's the price, and then they would call him back an hour later and they'd say, we got a better offer. So the price is arbitrarily going up, and that is that's exactly the effect of a free market. So yes, and he's calling for some kind of national distribution there, and I'm sure that's going to get worked out. Anyway, that's just my own personal quirk. But you're looking for creative solutions, and you're planning on doing some sewing with some masks at some point. But you also talked about something that really seemed kind of cool, and that was with your 3D printer. And we know a lot of people with 3D printers. All the DIY people have these in their houses nowadays. Tell me about how someone could 3D print a ventilator and what they better be careful of.
Yeah, so in Italy, there's some people who have been self-manufacturing ventilator parts that were in short supply, and they made these on their home 3D printers, and these are out being deployed at hospitals and saving lives. And there's shortage of ventilators, there's shortage of all sorts of stuff right now, right? And a lot of things that are made in plastic, I mean, people can make at home now thanks to 3D printing and open sourcing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
So the downside of that is these are medical devices, and they're copyrighted.
Yeah.
They're patented. They're protected. So people could face legal action not just from the companies, but if the device fails or causes any complications, you could be facing malpractice or other lawsuits. So if you're inclined to task your 3D printer to printing ventilator parts, just be aware there could be some unforeseen repercussions, but it also might be something that we desperately need right now.
Yeah, it might be saving lives. And that's pretty cool. Nowadays, we've got a 3D printer. We've got well, it's technically a laser cut. Well, we have a 3D printer. We have a laser cutter.
Yep.
And a bunch of other tools. But those two tools allow us to do things that are more industrial in a sense, and a very low quantity scale, which is just pretty awesome. So where do you think this...
Real quick, too.
Yeah.
I just remembered what I wanted to say. There is a couple open source ventilator projects where people have designed ventilators to be very simple to make and to be deployed in, limited resource situations, like in developing nations or like on a battlefield. So there are some open source ventilators out there as well that might be interesting just to explore the design and kind of see how those projects work.
That's very cool. So where do you think this whole thing ends?
Well, hopefully we can get past this quickly, and I would love to see a nationwide shutdown of some sort or travel limitations. I mean, I can't imagine that I would have said that a week ago.
Right.
It's horrifying to think that we're at that point.
Yep.
But I think we need some national action rapidly to help curb the spread, and hopefully our hospitals can deal with that. Hopefully we're not past that point already. And just, if we can be back up and running mid-May, I would think that's kind of the best outcome from this point. But we'll see.
Liz wants to know, she said you made some masks already. Can we see those?
I haven't gotten to making them yet. I ordered the supplies and have been busy with my normal time work so far. So
Right, yeah, we're still catching up.
I'll post pictures on Facebook when I have some made.
Right. So stimulus bill, what are your hopes in it?
I'd love to see monthly recurring payments for every American without means testing. So let's not waste the bureaucracy and the time on figuring out who deserves it, who needs it. Let's just give everyone anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month, and scale that for families.
Yep.
I wouldn't even worry about making people repay it if they're in higher income brackets. Just let them have it. Seriously, we need this urgently. Small business owners like Lance and I, we can't apply for unemployment. So until we start getting some sort of direct payments, we're going to have to make some hard decisions about which bills to pay, which ones to postpone.
Yeah. And along that note, just as a service announcement to everybody, if you bank at Associated Bank, or really any bank, if you have a mortgage, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have, did I say that right? Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae? They have a program out right now to help give relief, so you can look that up online. Associated Bank, who has our home mortgage loan, we actually just bought a house in November. Great timing. Actually, it was really good timing. This is just, hopefully 10 years from now, we're going to look back on this as a blip. But they have a program that is supposed to give 3 months of some kind of suspension of your loan. I do not have all the details yet, but I called their number Monday morning, first thing Monday morning. It was like 11 o'clock. Talked to the lady, and she said that they've been slammed all day, just nonstop phone calls. And basically, she gets some basic information from you. There's no application to fill out, at least not at the bank, not at Associated Bank. She literally took my information. She said, okay, someone's going to contact you in a couple days after they review this basic stuff. They'll probably need some more information from you. And just a note to those people that might be considering that, I'm not sure it's something we have to do. It all depends on how long the shutdowns go. If we're back up and running in May, then, I don't think we need to suspend anything. But if this is going to go through August, that has a much bigger impact, of course. So just something to watch out for. If any banks or credit card companies or anything like that are offering you the ability to skip payments with no penalty, make sure you ask them if they're still charging interest during that time, because that makes a huge difference, right? And it certainly will, I will make it, I would recommend that we do a different decision based on whether or not we're still being charged interest, because that's a huge thing. But I mean, any help people can give, any help the big businesses can give, that's great. I am a little irked at the big businesses out there that are like, we're going to give you a lower interest loan. Well, people like us, and that's the large part of our friend circle, right? Is all people who are self-employed. And what they don't realize is that we can't just jump on for regular unemployment. Now, there is an unemployment program for self-employed people that I'm just finding out about. Don't know a lot of details about it yet. But we don't go the normal route. It's just not part of how that works. So, people that are in our boat, we're looking at, when we're looking at this loss of income, getting any kind of loan and having to pay interest on that loan means you still have to pay that back. So now you are further in debt. But if it allows you to keep your business running, I understand. I understand why some people consider that, but that's not the kind of help that people need. And I think everybody's going to be on board with direct payments to people if they're not already, because in Wisconsin today, a bulk number of people just lost their job. So if you still have your job, be thankful for it, even though things have changed. All right, Kimberly, what do you want to do tonight?
I don't know, make some popcorn, watch TV.
Oh, I like the way you think. But I do have a final question for you. First of all, I want to give you the chance to add anything else. You can, if something else popped in your head, you want to add it up or add it in. We can go back, talk about any of the things we've talked about. Just want to give you the chance to say anything else that might be on your mind.
Yeah, we didn't talk about being self-employed and working at home.
Oh yeah. So
That's been one of the hardest and most rewarding adaptations of my life.
Okay.
When I first met you and started working with you, I had not been self-employed before, and the complete freedom of schedule was a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been able to find my way through that, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like being able to wake up when I wake up. I like that we have, the routine of jobs on the weekend that not anymore, that we go to.
Temporarily, that's on hold. Too soon.
Yeah, forever too soon.
Yeah. So all the guests that we've had, when I asked them, what do you recommend for people that are working at home, they all said, make sure you're dressing up and run a schedule and I don't disagree with that. I think most people need to do that. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm completely opposite of that.
Me too.
Yeah.
Pants
For
are
me,
optional.
the glory of working at home is that I can be comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I have a job where I'm going out on a site or doing a corporate job, then yes, I get dressed up. I, make myself look nice and presentable. But if I'm at home, I just want to be comfortable, right?
Right.
I don't want an extensive work wardrobe that I don't need. I just want to be more focused on my work than on what I'm wearing.
Yep, absolutely. What's your least favorite part about working at home? And again, we work at home during the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is kind of self-regulation. That's always been a challenge of mine. I've gotten a lot better at it. But especially the past week, it's been distracting, just kind of knowing that, things are changing by the hour, sometimes by the minute.
Yeah.
And, some very big decisions and big information is being handed down constantly. So it's hard to not constantly, like I said, panic, refresh the news.
Yep.
But, we're getting through it.
Yeah, it is a little hard to work when in the back of your mind you have this worry about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week, next month, so on and so forth. And the more we know, so what I like about the directive that came down line, it has a time frame, right? This is till April 24th. So we know for the next month we are locked down. Now, you can still go out and get groceries, you can still get medical supplies and all that kind of stuff. So that's all still possible. And again, I think we actually fall under one of the exceptions while working for a church. So we can still go out and do some work. But the unknown really just is tough on people, really tough. Any advice for people?
Just reach out to the people keep in touch, keep those social bonds. It's weird doing it all online, but I think a lot of people my age and younger have gotten used to having online friendships. So that's nice. And, I was thinking about this the other day that, fear is also a contagion.
Yeah.
And fear is what's going to bring us down as a society. We need to kind of, I don't want to say stay falsely positive, but, look for the good things, look for the enjoyment. I'm seeing a lot of kind of fun and creative, quirky solutions on the internet and Facebook. People are being really kind of creative and fun, so that's been great to see.
Yep.
And just kind of try to keep that spirit, because that's going to be challenging as we get into, 2 and 3 and 4 weeks of being locked down and isolated. We're not made to be isolated. We're a social species.
All right. Well, final question. So recently we had some friends over, and we were told by the wife, as her husband had went to the restroom, that he was probably switching the toilet paper roll right now if it wasn't done the proper way. And so we got into that discussion. And if it wasn't under, and we asked him when he got back, he goes, nope, I didn't have to switch it. It was already great.
That's why we had different bathrooms.
Right. I don't mind so much anymore. You know, ever
I
since
broke your will.
ever since I did the year experiment of flipping the roll, I found that I do have preference on whether it's over or under. And of course, if you're not sure what I'm talking about whether your toilet paper comes over the top or comes out underneath. People definitely have a preference, and it's kind of a fun thing to think about. But anyway, my question for you is, have you ever switched someone's toilet paper roll that you didn't live with? In other words, you're using their restroom, and and you know.
Don't think I've done it to anyone else.
Did you want to?
I've wanted to, but like that's their decision to make in their home, right? You know, so in my home, I have standards.
Right.
But
well, we do have separate bathrooms, so that's
right. Yeah,
that works out pretty good.
Yep.
All right, so I'm getting things ready for switching over to my wrap up, but I want to give you the final word.
Thanks for watching. Try some hydroponics. It's really kind of a fun hobby, and if you have questions, hit me up.
All right, Lance Lewis with Champion Video. I was interviewing Kimberly with Champion Video, and we were talking about hydroponics, the coronavirus, masks, 3D printing, the stimulus bill that's going through Congress right now. We talked about the new directive that came down from the governor in Wisconsin, and we talked about staying at home. Had a good time talking with her. This is our last show that we're going to do in this format because we will not be having people come. We're not going to have people come to our home anymore, our home studio, I should say. We might try to do some remote ins. People that want to talk to us via Facebook chat or maybe FaceTime. We'll see if we can work that out. Hey, if you want to be on the show and you want to talk about your business, I'd love to interview you and find out how things are affecting you and what people can do to help. So speaking of help, please hit subscribe and like on our channel. And I really appreciate everybody that tuned in live and the people that are watching and rebroadcast. Thank you for watching. I'm Lance Lewis, Champion Video.